and welcome to Tech presented by KYZEN, where we will explore common cleaning questions and answers. Let's get started. I would like to introduce KYZEN's own Ethan Mueller.
Thank you, Cameron. Welcome back to KYZEN's Tech. We've recently been doing a series of case studies. The case study that I selected to do is on an electronics customer who's making printed circuit boards, and we are looking at their underside stencil wiping process. I've named this presentation Hidden Costs Beyond Sticker Price, Commodity versus Engineered Fluids, because this is exactly what we were doing. We were looking at IPA versus a KYZEN's engineered performance fluid, and we're comparing the cost. And so there's a lot more that goes into the cost of your process beyond what you pay for each unit of material that you purchase. So again, I had a customer reach out who was looking to improve their underside stencil wiping process. They were using IPA as their wiping agent. We proposed that they trial KYZEN CYBERSOLV C8882. So the customer has a couple of stencil printers. They use a fabric paper material, cleaning some pretty good sized nano-coated stencils using IPA as their wiping agent. They have a wet wipe followed by a dry wipe followed by a vacuum dry. And with this process, they're getting approximately 4 to 5 prints between each wipe. When we proposed our trial, we proposed they switch out the IPA with the KYZEN CYBERSOLV C8882. They kept everything else the same. We would encourage you to make some other changes to optimize this process. We believe that you can do even better than this. But this was an apples to apples comparison. And so when they switched out IPA for C8882, they actually found that they were able to achieve 8 prints between each wipe, where before, again, they were getting that 4 to 5 prints between each wipe. So a challenge that we have as a material supplier of some of these engineered performance fluid is cost. Cost is a big consideration for a lot of our customers. IPA is a low-cost material. It's widely used in industry. It dries fast, and it's a solvent. And so there's a conception that it's a really good choice for an underside stencil wiping agent. When you factor performance into the equation, the numbers start to tell you a little bit different of a story. And so before I go on, there's 2 things that I'd like to mention that kind of help build this story. The first being that when you compare C8882 side by side with IPA in a bench test, C8882 almost always solubilizes the paste better than IPA or to completion, where IPA underperforms C8882. The other thing that I'd like to mention is C8882 evaporates more slowly than IPA. And so, this might seem like it's a disadvantage because it doesn't dry as quickly. But the way these processes are set up, this is actually an advantage. And so what happens is you're dispensing less chemistry onto your paper, and the less chemistry is doing the same amount or more work because it's getting up into the apertures of your stencil, allowing the material to fully solubilize the raw solder paste so that the paper can wipe it away. And so, when we're looking at this topically, a question that is often posed is, IPA costs this much, your CyberSolve C8882 costs this much, which is, the price tag is higher on C8882 than it is on IPA. So where is the cost savings? And when we dig down into this, we find that it's not the cost that we pay for our material that dictates the cost of our process. It's the indirect cost. It's some of the other things that go along with the printing process that dictates the overall cost of our process. And so we'll dig into that right now. So this is the meat of the story. The customer was able to increase the amount of prints that they had between wipes by 2-fold. And they also noticed that they were able to clean their apertures better. IPA worked well to clean their large apertures, but struggled with their smaller apertures, where C8882 gave them a nice, complete, clean stencil each time they wiped. And so by having the amount of wipes that we need to do, um, or doubling the amount of prints between wipes, when you put this into a cost model, you can actually see that there's a cost savings for the engineered fluid over the IPA. And so I normalized this and said, what would the materials in my wiping process cost for printing 100 boards? And so with material A, we're wiping every 4 prints. And so it would cost us approximately $5.50 in paper and chemistry for the overall wiping process to print 100 boards. For solvent B or CyberSolve C8882, when you're wiping every 8 prints, the cost of this comes down to around $2.87 for paper and chemistry. And so we're about having the cost of our materials when we're increasing the number of prints between wipes. In addition, decrease downtime for changeovers and refilling of liquids. If we assume approximately 5 minutes to change out a paper roll or to refill our chemistry, you're looking at about 45-hour labor savings over the course of a year. And so this equates to approximately $1,100 in savings over the course of a year. But more importantly, this allows our maintenance people and our operators to focus on other areas in our facility to improve efficiency elsewhere and improve production elsewhere. Some other things that need to be taken into consideration when we're shipping. So, again, C8882, you don't need to dispense as much because it doesn't evaporate as quick. It solubilizes the raw solder paste better than the IPA, but we'll just say we're using roughly half the amount of material, and therefore we're roughly having the material, the cost to ship the material to our plants. And in doing so, we're reducing the amount of material handling, bringing that material into our facility, and then moving it around the plant. Safety and storage, there's a cost associated with this or a concern associated with this. IPA is flammable. C8882 is not. And so when we when we switch over to C8882, not only are we replacing a flammable material in our warehouse, we're also only needing to store about as half. A lot of times people want to have about 2 to 3 months of materials on hand. And so again, we're taking something flammable away and we're only needing to store half as much. Our waste stream, we're reducing our waste stream, everything from packaging to paper to the emissions from our printing process, from the solvent that we're using. This all goes down, which is an environmental consideration. And then from there, wear and tear on our equipment and on our stencils. There's mechanical abrasion that happens to our stencils and to the nano coating of our stencils when we do the wiping process. The wiping process does nothing for our output. And so, maybe on a time basis, we're not necessarily getting more time out of our stencil, but we're getting more output from our stencil and from our equipment. And then most importantly, which this is kind of hard to put a monetary value on because everybody's boards are worth a little bit, they cost a little bit different. This customer is an OEM, so maybe hard to put a number on what their boards are worth per unit. But if you just do some simple math, in an 8-hour shift, not factoring in breaks or lunch or anything like that, in an 8-hour shift with your printing process being approximately 45 seconds, your wiping process being 25 seconds, if you're wiping every 4 prints, you're going to get approximately 560 prints at the end of the shift. If you're wiping every 8 prints, that number goes up to about 600 prints at the end of your shift. So you're getting about a 30 to 40 board increase out the tail end of your process. On top of that, the cleaning is better. The apertures are more clean. And so because of that, we get better gasketing and a cleaner release, which improves our SPI, which reduces rework. So we're getting more throughput through our printers, and we're getting less defects downstream from the printing process. And so really the whole story is that this customer was able to improve their process. They were able to get a more efficient process, a more quality process, all while bringing the cost down because of all those other input costs that go into this. Um, and so when we put this onto our cost model, um, you know, we were able to calculate that this customer is approximately going to save around $12,000 per printer per year. They have 2 printers, so approximately $24,000 a year in savings. Um, but beyond that, they have they have a more throughput, better production, uh, more better quality. Their people are less tied up with this process. Um, and so we would encourage you to trial this. We would encourage you to run the numbers for yourself. We think this is a compelling story. We love this story. But again, try it for yourself, run the numbers for yourself, and see what it does for you. With that, I'll move into some frequently asked questions. Is C8882 compatible with all printers? I can't just say that it's blanket statement say that it's compatible with all printers, but I will say that C8882 is ran in thousands of printers, varying brands all across the globe, and we have had no compatibility issues to date. Of course, there's standard wear and tear on your seals and your gaskets and on your nozzles and stuff. But really, it doesn't hurt to ask your suppliers and your equipment providers, but I don't think you'll have any problems here. Is C8882 flammable? C8882 is not considered flammable. Again, we're running this material in thousands of printers across the globe. No fires to date that we are aware of. On the other hand, IPA is flammable, and we are aware of fires that have happened in printers. How fast does IPA evaporate versus C8882? So I'm not exactly sure of the exact evaporative rates of one material versus the other, but C8882 does evaporate more slowly, which is a, a process benefit. Again, it allows the cleaning agent to get up into the apertures of our stencil, more better solubilize the material and allow the paper to wipe that raw solder paste away. Can I run my printer on default settings? So this isn't recommended. There's so many things we can do to optimize our process, and if you're ever looking to do this, we can help this. We would encourage you to talk to your material suppliers, to talk to your printer supplier about improving your process. We don't recommend running on default settings, but you certainly could. But again, you can improve your process by pulling some different levers and trying some different things. A majority of people do not change from default settings. Is C8882 compatible with all different paper rolls? Again, it's compatible with all different paper rolls, but trying something different, we tend to recommend the pocketed paper rolls. These help to pull the solder balls out of the apertures. That is what we think is going to work the best. But broadly speaking, you can use C8882 with any paper with no concerns. But trying some different things, you might see a nice process improvement. And with that, I'll turn it back over to Cameron.
Thanks, Ethan, and thank you all for watching this Tech to Tech session. If you would like to discuss this topic further or have any questions not answered in the session, please contact your local KYZEN regional manager or send us an email at tech@kyzen.com, and we will have someone follow up with you as soon as possible. To download the case study this session was based on, click the link in the description. Do you want to have exclusive access to future content sent directly to your inbox, or do you know someone who would benefit from these sessions? If the answer is yes, just go to tech2techbykyzen.com and fill out the subscription form. And if you like this video, be sure to follow us on our social media platforms for more expert cleaning content.